Hello, 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 hello. We're here, it's Sunday and I am live apparently. So let me know if you can see me and hear me because I'm having some crazy ass Wi-Fi issues. And I've had to put the thing up on the roof to try and get some signal. So if you can see me / hear me or even both, then comment on the comments so I know that you're there and that you can hear me. Happy newest of all New Years to you all. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas and New Year and had a brilliant time. Today's going to be a really quick live about plans for 2022 and some videos, and I really just want to get some ideas from you about some videos and stuff. I've had a couple of questions. Brilliant, can see and hear. I've had a comment, that's good. So if you want to ask a question or make any comments, then just comment in the little comment section and it pops up on my screen, which is down here, which is why I keep looking down here, not because I'm rude, and then I will be able to answer your questions. But mainly today, I just want to know some ideas for some videos that you would like to see me do over 2022. I've got a few ideas, and so I'll run through my ideas and hopefully get some ideas from you as well. I hope everybody had a brilliant Christmas. Did you all have a nice Christmas and New Year? Have you all had lots of time off? Have you all been riding your ponies a lot? Don't mean to boast, but I rode on Friday. It was my birthday. I've not ridden for ages, and I borrowed my daughter's horse and I rode in a lesson and I pooed my pants. But anyway, I did that. So lots of comments saying they can see and hear. That's good. First of all, can I apologise for how rough I look today because I haven't got any makeup on. My hair, I don't think it's been brushed since Christmas. So yes. So some questions coming in. The new saddles you were talking about, Mandy Young. The new saddles you were talking about, that's the AVR saddles, and you're the second person to say that because somebody else has also asked for that. Let me find them. Who were they? It was Yvonne Jones, more about the AVR saddles and their tree. Googled them and it sounds interesting. So yes, that's a good idea. We can have a look at the AVR saddles. I did think about doing like a day where you could come and try them. So basically the AVR saddles are a very new saddle on the market. They are very different. They're dressage saddles. Although I believe they're making a jump saddle as well, but they're primarily dressage saddles and they're very modern. If I was to describe them, I'd say a bit like a sports shoe version of a saddle. Very kind of modern looking, quite not a great deal of saddle there, quite compact, I would guess you'd say. They're on foam panels and you can change the panels. So they're not only adjustable in terms of width, but you can actually on site, your saddle fitter, well, an AVR saddle fitter can take the panels and they're like the soft squishy bits that sit between the tree and the horse's back. You can literally ping them off and put new ones on. So if your horse changes shape through their back, not just the width. So previously adjustable saddles, the problem has been they only change at the front and the width. These ones we can actually change the panels on, so that's a good thing. So yes, we could do a video on AVR saddles. Maybe I could go to the factory, we could see some being made and look at them in component parts, and then maybe also do a fitting video with one and have some people trying them. But also I did think about doing, if you're in my local area, some days come and try one and ride in them and see what you think, because they're not very cheap saddles. They're about £4,500. So they're not cheap, but they are very nice, and they've got really cute little detailing on them, and you can also jazz them right up. So we've just done an order, for example, and someone has got Swarovski, can never pronounce it, crystal diamondy things all over theirs, and it's very pretty. So AVR, I've got a bit of paper, I'm going to write down some ideas. AVR saddles. Oh, I like this one. How about a confidence chat and how saddle accessories can help? Oh, brilliant idea, because as we all know, I've had a massive riding accident and completely shattered my confidence. And I was saying on my Facebook page the other day that honestly, 30% of people I see, if not more, have significant confidence issues, being led around the arena for saddle fittings, kind of confidence issues. So it's a really common thing. And I think that when you lose your confidence, number one, you think you're the only person in the whole wide world that it's happened to, and you're embarrassed to tell everybody about it. But that's not true. Honestly, so many people it happens to. And the other thing is about accessories. There are loads of saddle accessories that can help. So just to briefly run through the things that I use, I always use safety stirrups. I try to have a neck strap forgot mine last week. Body protectors, etc. All those things, but also little things like knee blocks, different shaped knee blocks, different saddles can really help with confidence. If you feel secure in your saddle, you feel much more confident as a rider. Those gel out seat savers, they stick to the saddle. There's loads of things. So perhaps confidence, good one, writing that down. Thank you, Emmy Hillier. Confidence. Annabelle, go you for getting back in the saddle. I know, go me. Whoop, whoop. It's been a very long time. So I broke my back in 7 places about 7 years ago now. And I wasn't allowed to ride for a year. And then I really missed it. And I got a horse, a pony actually. It was a Highland pony. And he was the love of my life. And he very gradually got me back into riding. I'm not going to say bravely. I was never brave again. But he got me back into riding. And then I had to retire him about a year ago. And then I lost him last year. So that, even just losing him, I think knocked my confidence more. So getting back in the saddle was a huge thing for me. So yes, it happens to a lot of people. What dressage saddles do you recommend for junior riders getting into BD, interested in the new saddles? I'm presuming new saddles, you mean the AVR, do you, Anastasia? So it really depends. It depends so much. For starters, how small the junior rider is. I happen to know Anastasia's daughter is very small. And there's not many companies actually that do pony dressage saddles, although there are more now than there used to be. So you're limited a little bit by who makes them. And then also it depends on budget, obviously. It depends on what kind of dressage saddle they like, whether they like the really adult ones with the deep seats and the big knee blocks, or something a little bit less like that. You do often find the pony dressage saddles for very small riders are really more like a working hunter saddle with a slightly longer flap. So it depends on whether you want a full-on dressage saddle and make and stuff like that. But yeah, we could talk about that. We could do a video about like companies that make the pony dressage saddles, really, and we could compare them. Good one. Kim Orton Smith, I have an old saddle I need to get rid of. I don't want to risk it ending up on another horse's back. How do you recommend I dispose of it safely to make sure this doesn't happen? You could do something really simple like cut it down the middle of the seat, because a seat repair is the most expensive repair you have to do on a saddle, and no one is going to pay for that to be done if it's not a very good saddle. Or you could donate it to me and I'll cut it up for a video. But yes, if you don't want it going back on another horse, then make sure you do something to it so it can't go back on another horse. And the best thing to do, I think, is get a sharp knife and literally cut down the middle of the seat. Saddle slip, Helen Fuller, this is saddle slip and wonky riders. That's a very good one. It's one that will take a significant amount of time to cover, but we could because actually saddle slip doesn't often come from wonky riders. Saddle slip usually comes from the horse. But it can come from wonky riders. So yes, perhaps we could do something about saddle slip. We could look at the horse in one video, the saddle in another, and then the rider. Because they're really the 3 components that lead to saddle slip. 95% of the time it's the horse. The rest of the time, usually it's the rider. Sometimes it's the saddle. Sometimes you can have a twisted tree or something on the saddle. Good idea. Oh, I like this one. Katie says, hi Poppy, it'd be really fun if viewers could send in pictures of the saddles on their horses who talk about fishing issues. It would be very good. It'd be difficult. It's difficult to say with pictures that a saddle fits. I guess it's quite easy to say if something doesn't fit. We could, people could send in pictures of their saddles on their horse and we could say, yes, that's, tipping back and that will cause this, that and the other. Yeah. I wonder how it would work on a video. I'd have to get some... I'd have to go on YouTube and learn how to put pictures onto my videos. But yeah, that's probably doable, I think, and a good idea. I also thought the other day that I could go through Facebook, like all the like horsey websites where people are asking, has anyone got a 17-inch saddle? Or when people discuss saddles and they say things that are so like, oh no, don't say that. And I thought, I wonder if I could go through and like cut and paste loads of them onto a thing and say why what they're saying is a bad idea. So like when people say, this is my horse and I think he needs a hoop tree, and I cringe because everyone thinks a horse needs a hoop tree, and not very many people's horses need a hoop tree. So like that sort of thing would be really good as well. Or even going through eBay and looking at some of the saddles for sale and saying like reasons not to buy this saddle. What do you think that sounds like? People might get annoyed if they're trying to sell a saddle and I'm saying that. Best saddle, this is Shelley. Best saddle to get Welsh Section D. Oh my gosh, it depends. Some Welsh Section Ds are built like tanks. Some Welsh Section Ds are built like thoroughbreds. It really depends. It depends totally. You need to speak to your saddle fitter about that. Lindsay, Bing Bong, awesome surname. 7 places. Yeah, broke my back in 7 places. The worst part was I went to have x-rays and they x-rayed my neck thinking I'd broken my neck, and then went, oh no, you're fine, there's no break in your neck, and this bone here, my collarbone, was sticking out there, and they said, oh, that'll go back on it by itself. And then I went on my merry way. I didn't actually know it was broken for about 3 weeks. I went to work the next day. Stephen Poole, howdy brave pants. So Stephen Poole is a god. If anyone is in my local area, Stephen Poole is the man I had a riding lesson with today, and he's the man that's had my daughter going from being the most nervous little nervous Nelly you ever did meet to jumping she is. Did you do a bridle fit course last year? Could you do a video on bridle fitting? There's such a lot of different anatomical bridles, but how do I choose which suits my horse best? PS, you look awesome. I definitely don't look awesome. I look like it was my birthday on Friday night, and I went to a place called the Tipsy Teapot in King's Lynn, and like the Clues and the Title kind of places, and I drank an awful lot of cocktails. Whew. I wasn't sick though. Nope. Yes, I did do a bridle fitting course last year, but I haven't done my qualification thing yet, but I could still do a little. We could do like a basic bridle fitting thing. The main thing about the anatomical bridles is everyone looks at the anatomical bridles, so they're beautifully shaped headpieces, and they are, loads of them are beautifully shaped. And it's not that one is better than another, it's just how do those shaped cutout bits fit behind your horse's ears. Because if you look at some horses, their ears are sort of stuck on the side, and other horses, their ears are sort of stuck on the top of their head. Now, they're not going to fit the same kind of cutout on the back of the anatomical bridle. So there's a little quick one for you before we do that video. I agree with Caroline. Comparing the various anatomical bridles would be great. Yes, it would. And there are loads, so many on the market. When I did my bridle fitting thing the other day, there was honestly dozens and dozens of, and they range from like £80 to like £700. There's such a variety in terms of cost. And by no means does that cost reflect the quality or indeed how well they work. Some of the best performing ones were the lower ranges actually, and some of the worst performing ones are the top ranges. There's such a massive range of bridles, and it does very much depend on your horse's head shape, in the same way that saddle fit depends on your horse's back shape. Kim, you're coming to us in March, Poppy. Whoa, I'll save the saddle for you. I'd be interested to see what happens to it on the inside. Oh, do you think it's broken? I could if I'm coming to you in March, oh, exciting. Then I can cut it up for you while I'm there if you want, and we can have a look inside. That would be cool. Well done getting in the diary. Another good idea, put my teeth back in. Myth busting, like D to D measurements, balancing the coin on the saddle to check the balance, etc. Oh, D to D measurements. I see it less now because people are getting a little bit more clued up. But honestly, so many people say, I want a saddle that's 9 inches D to D. But the D rings on a saddle are not set in the same place. You could have 10 of the same brand of saddles, the same saddles, and the D rings are set in completely different places. And if the D ring is set half an inch higher up on the saddle, the measurement is going to be so very different than if it's set an inch lower down. And they can basically go anywhere. They're not an integral part of the saddle, like it's cosmetic. So like I have done a video. If you go on my YouTube channel, you can see it. And I've got like, I think, a medium wide saddle and an extra wide saddle. And the medium wide saddle, D rings, are further apart than the extra wide. So D rings, if anyone ever mentions to you about D ring measurements, hit them around the head with your saddle. Oh, and let's go back to that one as well. Balancing a coin on the saddle. If anyone ever balances a coin on the saddle and tells you, therefore, the saddle fits, also hit them on the head with the saddle. But take the coin first, put it in your pocket. Have you ever heard of John Whittaker Chicago girths? I can't find reviews of any of their products anywhere. I haven't heard of the Chicago girths. But I am thinking of a future video being about girths, so maybe we could find one and get it in. John Whittaker quality, not bad, really, not great. It used to be John Whittaker, the old John Whittaker stuff used to be made slightly differently than it is now. It's a little bit cheaper now, a little bit more mass produced, but that's the way a lot of the modern saddlery is going. Oh, it's not bad. They do okay bridles, okay stirrup leathers. My daughter's got some breeches by them. Hi Poppy, Happy New Year to you. And you, Donna, Happy New Year. Did you have an awesome one? I hope so. I had a really quiet one, and Christmas, really quiet Christmas. Lucy North, I need a Stephen Poole in my life. We all need a Stephen Poole in our life, but I'm sorry, he's mine. When I first found out about him, I was saddle fitting for someone who had a horse who had had a few issues with their horse under saddle. And I went out to them to saddle fit, and I thought, oh, this is that horse that has these issues. And then suddenly it didn't have these issues. And I said to the girl, what's changed? What have you done? And she said, oh, well, I don't really want to tell you. I want to keep this person secret because I'm scared that everyone's going to find out about him. And it turns out it was Stephen Poole. And then about a week later, I went to another girl whose flat work had suddenly just gone amazing. And I said to her, Mum, wow, what's happened? What's changed? And she said, well, I don't know if I want to tell you. And I said, Stephen Poole, isn't it? So like everyone that meets him loves him so much, they try to keep him secret. Hi, Poppy. What's your opinions on the stride-free saddles? That's probably a whole video. They're very different from normal saddles, so very difficult to get into like on just this very, very quick live. But that might be an idea for a future video. Yes, they are different. They fit differently, and they are different. They're different trees than the standard normal traditional saddles. Saddle pads, what's best to use and when? Half pads, gel pads, correctional, etc. This is a brilliant idea, and it's actually already on my list. Half pads, what pads to use and when. There's also like even pads that aren't correctional. So like I've been chatting with Equitex because a few of you asked about Equitex, EQUITEX saddle pads, because they are like, they're like almost like a velvety thing, and they're quite expensive, but they say that they eliminate saddle slip and stuff like that. So I went and saw them when I was at Your Horse Live and spoke to them, and they have agreed to participate in a video so we can trial one, see how they work and stuff like that. So yeah, there's loads of good videos, I think, around saddle pads, half pads, gel pads, correctional pads, whether it's, and maybe like one like you've said, what's best to use and when, when do you use a half pad and when do you use a correctional pad? And when do you use a gel pad? Good one. I'll write that down. I love your phone. Great listening to chat. I need a saddle fitter, but I'm in Cumbria. You must have saddle fitters up in Cumbria. I'm trying to think who I know up's up that way. No, I don't know any up that way. But if you go on the Society of Master Saddlers website, there's a really good search function on there. You just pop in like your area, click on saddle fitter and then your area, and it'll give you a list of all the qualified saddle fitters in your area. I'm not very good at geography, but it's somewhere up there. The use of shims and half pads or risers to make the saddle fit the horse, is it just a quick fix or can they be used long term? I'm seeing so often with clients at the moment who'd rather do that and then get the saddle fitter out. I don't think that you should use half pads or shims or anything without your saddle fitter, because sometimes actually if you do it wrong, you can create more problems. However, as a saddle fitter, I try to fit without pads and shims as much as I can, but there are cases sometimes where you do need to. So like half pads, risers or shims, I would only ever use as a temporary thing. So say, for example, a horse had been out of work for a little while and had lost some muscle at the front and saddles were starting to drop forward and we knew that muscle was going to come back, then maybe I'd recommend something with shims. And then half pads, I've seen over the last few months, I've seen a few that I've recommended half pads to, and it's not very common, but over the last few months, it's a little bit more common. And they're hunting horses. So this time of year, you sometimes get horses who start off the hunt season quite chunky and quite fat, and then they go hunting hard 3 times a week, and they get leaner and leaner and leaner. And we know they're going to come back out again, and we don't need to be adjusting their saddles every 2 minutes. So in those cases, sometimes we can put a half pad on, but never ever do it without your saddle fitters say so, because that's what we're here for. Oh yes, asymmetric girthing. So by asymmetric girthing, she means sometimes we will do things like, for example, if a saddle slips right, sometimes your saddle fitter will change the girthing on the left-hand side to stop it from going right. And so you're asymmetrical in that the girthing on your left is different than the girthing on your right. Why, when, and benefits. Yes, excellent video idea. Yeah, we could find a horse that could tie him with a saddle slippage as well, couldn't it? Because usually you'd only really girth asymmetrically if the saddle was moving one way. But good one. Ellen, starting my training this year, doing both fitting and bench work. So bench work is in the saddlery trade is when you actually make the saddles, because you do it on what's called a bench. Love the trade and the SMS. The SMS are wonderful, don't you think? Because it wasn't that many years ago, I'm going to be honest, that the SMS had a reputation for being a bit of an old man's club. And I was told at one point that I should take off my nail varnish and take out my earrings and wear long sleeve tops so people couldn't see my tattoos. And now it's much more welcoming, and there's loads of women in it, in the saddlery, you know, making saddles and saddle fitting. And it's a much friendlier, maybe not the right word. It's a much nicer place, I think, the SMS. And they are fantastic. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're there to govern saddle fitting. So that's what they're there for, so that you can make sure if you've got an SMS saddle fitter, then number one, you know they're trained really well. And number two, there's some fallback for you if there's a problem. A video on sway-backed horses would be great. It would be great. If anyone has a significantly sway-backed horse that's under saddle and in work and healthy, then I would come out and do a video with you. Because I haven't really, well, I've got a couple, I suppose, actually, fairly sway-backed, but nothing significantly sway-backed that's under saddle. So yes, really good idea. Because a lot of people think that the sway-backed horse can't be ridden, but some can, and some actually are quite successful in under saddle. I've got one horse who's recently been sold, unfortunately, not me personally, but a client. And it is, when you put a saddle on it, you can't see there's anything wrong with it. You take the saddle off and it's got like the steepest, sharpest wither. And then there's a really deep, it's not even like a sway, it's like a dip behind that. And it comes right up, has to have saddles and everything made for it, but has a very successful career. But that's a good plan. I'd love to learn more about a saddle fit for the rider. Specifically details on how the stirrup bar position and blocks affect the balance for riders of different sizes. That's a really good idea, because sometimes you find riders with like long skinny legs fit into a saddle very differently than someone with short, less skinny legs. You know, how the knee block sits, the stirrup bar, when stirrup bars are further forward or further back, makes a huge difference to the rider's position. There's some saddles now that have adjustable stirrup bars, so you can actually change them on the saddle, so you can move your stirrup slightly further forward or slightly further back. That's really good. Other saddles, when we make them, you know, if we're making something from scratch, we can change where the stirrup bar sits according to the rider's leg. Brilliant idea. Yeah, so stirrup bar position and blocks, and also saddle, like the seat, how the seat is affects people. Because if you think, you know, if you think about it, if you've got short legs and a big bottom, you're going to fill a seat very differently than if you've got long legs and a skinny bottom. So seat size and shape, you know, where the dip is in the seat also really affects riders, I think. Right, nearly done. Let me just quickly run through the other questions that I've been asked. So going back to Yvonne, AVR saddles, we've covered that. We're going to do a video on the AVR saddles. Jane Cadman, treeless. I have done a bit of a video about treeless saddles that everyone was a bit angry at, because I basically said I haven't got a treeless saddle here, so I'm going to use this pillow to demonstrate, and everyone was like, oh, treeless saddles aren't like pillows, but they are sometimes. But yeah, treeless saddles is a very controversial one, because people that have treeless saddles love them. Saddle fitters don't love them, because we know why saddles have trees in them, and it's to distribute the pressure. And the treeless saddles that do end up distributing the pressure, and there are some out there that are good and that distribute the pressure nicely, but they are the ones that, even though they call themselves a treeless saddle, have some sort of a tree in there, whether it's like a leather one or a flexible one or whatever, to distribute the pressure. Otherwise, you get pressure points on your horse's back. But rider fitness is a good one. I have spoken to a few like rider fitness people and like rider physios and things like that. We're thinking we might do some like joint videos. On the subject of like joint videos, like collaboration ones. Also, I've thought like people like, do you know Muddy Mayhem? Find her on Facebook if you can. Might go to hers and like look around her tack room and do a video with her, because she's right good fun. So if there's any other like horsey people, physios, riders that you think would make good people to go on a video as well, then hit me with their names and I'll contact them and see if they want to come on a video. Maybe, you know, maybe get some like, go and visit a dressage rider's tack room and look at their tack, and then visit a show jumpers and look at their tack and the difference between them. The thing I really want to do, and if there's anyone watching that can help, is Western saddles. I don't want to do them personally because they scare me, but like go and see someone. So if there's someone that's like an expert in Western saddles and Western saddle fitting, preferably in the UK, although I could do the holiday, then I could go there and look at them and learn, and we could do a video about differences between like Western saddle fitting and English saddle fitting, because they are very different indeed. So if anyone knows a Western person that they can put me in touch with, Western saddle person even, they can put me in touch with, much appreciated. Kissing spines, lumbosacral and saddle fit. Yeah, I see a lot of posts recently about kissing spines and saddles, and people are like, oh, what are the best saddles for horses that have got kissing spines? And I'm sorry, the most boring answer in the world is one that fits. People think that because there's been kissing spines in there, we want to have an extra like wide channel down the back so it doesn't touch the spine. But we should be doing that anyway. The saddle shouldn't be touching the spine anyway. But yeah, we could have a chat about kissing spines and saddles and how saddles affect horses with kissing spines. Another one here from Jenny Roberts. Any thoughts on bareback riding? I mean, not like all the time, but an occasional hop on when you can't find your boots. Is it helpful for anything in particular? I don't know about helpful, but it's not bad because we never do it enough. It is, if we were to ride bareback all the time, it wouldn't be great because you have got a bit of a pressure point, but because you're not putting your foot in stirrups and because you haven't got a girth around there, there's nothing like pulling on the stirrup bar and causing stirrup bar pressure. So it's not as bad as people make out it is. The bareback pads that have got stirrup bars on do cause some pressure points, however. But bareback riding, when you've forgotten your boots, is not a problem at all. And I think sometimes if you ever got on your horse and ridden bareback and thinks, cool, he's really moving well today, that's because they do move differently without a saddle on. A saddle is there to distribute your weight, distribute the pressure, but they do act on a horse's back, and the horse does have a saddle on its back and therefore will move slightly differently. Also, when you're bareback, you can feel the movement much more, can't you, under each seat bone, because you haven't got that layer of saddle between you. So yes, maybe there are some benefits. Maybe it's helpful to feel how your horse is moving. Maybe you could feel if your horse is asymmetrical a little bit easier with your bum on his back. But just don't do it all the time. And definitely don't put stirrups on, like a bareback pad. Jean, what's the best make of saddle to buy when you buy a horse with no saddle? Again, boring answer, one that fits. It depends on a huge amount what fits your horse, what your budget is, whether you're going to be jumping or dressaging or a bit of everything. So there's not really one answer for that, I'm afraid. One of the videos I've got planned is like best saddles under £1,000. So I'm doing one, I think I'm filming it next week. And we're going to do like best leather saddles for under £1,000. So that's going to be a really good one for people who are on a bit of a budget but want to know about the saddles and the difference. And it's not going to be like this one's crap and this one's good. It's going to be, because they're all actually quite good saddles, it's going to be like these are the features of this saddle. So that's going to be a good video, I think. But if there's anything like that you're interested in, like best cob saddles, might be a good one to do as well. We could get some of the most popular cob saddles in and have a look at the differences between them and like the features for each one, because some saddles will have a really good feature and another saddle will have a really good other feature. So it depends. That I think is it. Is there any more comments? Oh, there are some more here. Where did we get to? Lee, I would love to learn more about saddle fit. Oh, we've done that one. Oh, Kirsty, the benefit of flock versus foam panels and how the style of panels work for different horses. Yes, so that's a really good one because there's kind of trends, isn't there? And it wasn't that long ago, everyone was like, foam panels are the best. And then everyone was like, oh no, flock panels are the best. And now foam is really improving. I think they're kind of catching up a little bit with the flock panels, but they're not adjustable in the same way as a flock panel. So that'd be a good one. You also tend to not be able to put foam panels on certain types of horses. So yeah, that would be a good video to do, actually. Good thinking, Kirsty. Eleanor Jenkins. I've got a 4-year-old warm blood and looking for a nice adjustable dressage saddle with an external knee block. Do you have any suggestions? Again, it depends on what fits your horse in terms of adjustability. It depends how adjustable you want it to be. I guess at a 4-year-old, you want it to be fairly adjustable. But then again, you see, the thing is, and a 4-year-old warm blood, I'm not sure that I'd be committing to a long-term saddle anyway. I might wait a year and then get one that doesn't have to be so adjustable, because adjustable saddles are just adjustable widthways, majority of them. I've just talked about the Avia one, that's a bit different. But on the whole, the adjustable saddles are to do with how wide they are at the front. And a 4-year-old warm blood, you will often find not just gets wider, but sometimes their back, what's called a back profile, changes. So imagine you're looking at their withers, and then down their back. Sometimes that shape changes, and that isn't affected by changing the gullet bar at the front. You often find the warm blood is that they come up in front, and then they come up behind, and they come up in front, and everything, they lift to do with their abdominal muscles when they start to use their abs differently. They can lift. So something that previously fitted, no matter how much you change the gullet bar, might not fit anymore. So do you need something adjustable? Maybe. Will it last you forever? Maybe not. And again, depends really on budget. One of the videos I could do could be about like adjustable dressage saddles, I suppose. But the main adjustable ones are the obvious ones: Fairfax, Kenton Masters. My brain's gone blank. The PDS ones, they're adjustable with a gullet bar. At Bates, they do nice dressage saddles. Oh, and the Bates ones, they're adjustable with the gullet bars, but also you can put shims in the tree to change the shape a little bit. So that might be a little bit longer lasting, because you can change the profile shape a little bit. Yeah, maybe something like a Bates. But again, you need a saddle fitter to tell you that one. The benefits of Pilates for riders. This would be a really good one, because I can tell you, like for myself, when I've done Pilates and yoga, I'm like a yoga fiend. I love yoga and Pilates. I even do something called aerial yoga. Anyone ever heard of aerial yoga? I basically hang upside down and do yoga, like but upside down. It's a bit scary to begin with. I love all of that, and I can tell you personally, as a person, as a human being, that the benefits are you can sit straighter and you feel stronger, and you can kind of disassociate your body parts a little bit better, so you can be a little bit more independently handed. You can learn about like your hips and what your hips do, and all of that helps you. But it would be really fabulous to have an actual Pilates, like an equine Pilates person to chat to. Have you all heard of something called crap bags? I've forgotten what it was. She's called Maeve, and she does a Pilates thing, and it's got like a band, and you stick it onto something, and you go bedoing, bedoing, bedoing. Oh, I'll put a link to it because it's brilliant. She might be a good person to speak to, because she is like the god of Pilates, and I think she's a physio. But yeah, something like that. I think it would be really good to speak to a Pilates person and do like a joint video. I went once to a day at Sheepgate. I don't even know where Sheepgate is. It's in Lincolnshire, and they did like a day camp thing where you took your horse for a day, and in the morning we had a lesson, and then we did a Pilates session, and then we rode again to see the difference between our riding before and afters, and it was amazing. I felt like I sat way deeper into the saddle. It was really good. So yes, I think that's a really good idea, Kirsty. Let's get somebody to do it that knows about Pilates and the benefits of it as a rider. Vicky Rose in Northampton specific rider Pilates classes. Northampton isn't too far from me. Could potentially go down there. Kirsty, Sovereign Horses in Peterborough may be able to help. Yeah, so I know Sovereign Horses because they're literally down the road from me. And they do fit Western saddles, don't they? It's like David Deptford, isn't it? David Deptford, I think he's called. Not in the UK, unfortunately, but she is from Schlee Saddle. He does Western saddles. Does he do Western saddles as well? See, I'm a bit. He's the guy that does that Saddle Fit for Life stuff, isn't he? I've got some of his books. He is very Suffering and Something. Can't see because my camera's there, my book's there. I've got a bookshelf there. Some of his books on it. He's a very knowledgeable man. Some of his things that he says are at slight odds with some of the training that we do, but he is a very, very interesting man. And if you have any time, read his books. Read his books. My horse is old and his back is beginning to sway. Perfectly normal, don't panic. His saddle bridges. Can a saddle fitter fix the saddle, or is it a better option to sell it to get a new one? Well, it depends a lot, on how much it bridges and how sway his back is. Because often we'll put a saddle on like statically, when the horse is standing still, that means. And then when the horse is under saddle, you'll see his back come up. So do you do all like the belly lifts and things with him? So if you tickle him on his belly, does he lift his back up? And does he kind of lift his back up under saddle? Because sometimes that can happen. It depends as well, because, you know, age, if he's old, his back is beginning to sway. Is he in light work? Is he in normal work? All of those things make a really big difference. But there are some things, and actually, if you go on my YouTube channel, I did a video, and I think it might be called about like sway back or something. I'll put a link to it on here for you. And it's about some exercise that you can do. Really, really, really easy exercises. Take like 1 minute a day. And it's to do with a belly lift, where you get your fingernails underneath their belly and you give it a scratch and they lift their tummy up. And also one with a certain point on their bum that you give a little scratch to as well, and then they lift their back up. And what they both of them do is, because we think about sway backs as being a weak back, but actually a lot of it is abdominal muscles, and muscles underneath their back have started to go bleh. And like, you know, you look at anyone over the age of 40, myself included, and our tummy muscles have gone bleh a little bit. And that even in humans can make you have a bit of a rounded back. But in horses, when their backs are that way and all of that weight hanging off their back, once your abs start to weaken, you don't lift up as much, and that can give you that sway. So sometimes you can actually fix the sway back by just doing some gentle exercises. So yeah, fish that video out and get a saddle fitter out, because they'll be able to tell you. Sometimes it, you know, if I see somebody, for example, whose horse is his saddle is slightly bridging, but then he comes up under saddle, we don't worry about it. If it's bridging and we can do it with flocking sometimes, then that's okay. If it's bridging really badly, sometimes you need to start thinking about something different, or pads. Nowadays, you can get the ProLite pads that've got the little pockets in, and you can get ones with middle pockets, and they're for bridging. So, Kirsty, I want to do aerial yoga. Google it. It's brilliant. It's really good. And that makes all the blood go to your head, and apparently it's good for your skin, but try telling that to my skin that's falling off today. It's really, 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 really good. I don't know whereabouts in the world you are, but I go to a place in King's Lynn, but there's loads of places everywhere. Activate your seat. That's the one. So that's the lady that does the boingy boing thing, like, and gets all your muscles working. And she's got a fantastic Facebook page. If you're anywhere near Facebook after this, go to Activate Your Seat, and she's brilliant. And she's someone I'd love to do a video with. So if you're watching this, my lovely, then let's do something. I can give you Vicky's contact details. She does Aqua Pilates. Brilliant. Yes, please pop them out on a message, Facebook message to me. That'd be perfect. Any more questions, or am I allowed to go in and eat my pizza for dinner? So basically, just to round up, we've got on here some ideas. I'm going to do saddles under £1,000. We also maybe look at like the best synthetic saddles on the market, best saddles for cobs. And again, not the best, as in these ones are better than these ones, because it very much depends on what shape your cob is or your horse is, but like the different features that each one have. So like some cob saddles have got really wide twists and really flat heads and on a hoop tree, which everyone's obsessed by. Other ones don't have that, but it doesn't make them any less good as a saddle. It's just the different features that some of them have. We're also going to look at the AVR saddles, which are the new saddles that are out, some saddle pads, some looking at confidence and how saddles, accessories, and different saddles can help with confidence as well. I would love to go to the place that I went to for my falling off course, which was called the Centre for Horseback Combat. And there's a guy there called Carl Greenwood. He's amazing. So that would make a really good video if I could wangle that somehow. We're going to look at some different saddles, some different stirrups, and different leathers. And we are also going to look at, there was something else as well. Oh, Pilates and things like that. And if anyone has got any idea for a Western saddle person, hit me with it. Waiting for the saddle fitter to come out, but any temporary recommendations to help a saddle that moves a lot, particularly side to side, base GP, big movement horse. Does it just move one way, or does it move both ways? Does it go like left, right, or does it go left, 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 left? Because there's a big difference there. Some people would use a gel pad. I'm not necessarily a great fan of gel pads, certainly not against the skin. You could get something that's a little bit less harsh than a gel pad. So something like the one the Barnsby grip pads is a temporary thing. The issue is, though, if the saddle is moving, sometimes it moves, like if the saddle's moving because your horse is a big moving horse, then you don't necessarily want the saddle to be sort of stuck to them. If your horse's back is fluid, you don't want the saddle to be completely stuck. There has to be some movement between them. And so it's a bit tricky to sort of say that's too much movement, that's not too much movement without seeing it in the flesh. I would, if I were you, if I'm honest, actually, I'd send a video to your saddle fitter. Your saddle fitter, I'm sure, won't mind at all. I don't mind people send me videos. I quite like getting them, actually. And just say, look, you know, if any recommendations, anything you can recommend as a temporary fix, because it really depends on the type of movement. Kirsty says, Carla's amazing. I did horseback archery with him. Isn't he just amazing? And that place, oh, it's amazing. And those horses, oh, they're amazing. It's amazing. Amazing. I went there so bearing in mind, I went there after my accident. So I hadn't ridden for a year. The last time I had ridden, I broke my back in 7 places. I was sick out of my nose several times before arriving there. When I got there, I rang my husband from the car, crying, I don't want to go in. And he was like, if it's that bad, just climb out of the toilet window and come home. And I went in and I was so nervous. And I did that course. And by the end of the day, I thought, wonder if I could be a stunt rider. That's how amazing it is. Is there a market for good quality but very old saddles, about 40 years old? Less so nowadays, I think, because in the olden days, 40 years ago, horses were a slightly different shape and saddles weren't really designed in the same way that they are now. So you tend to find the panels are a little bit harder, the channel down the middle is a little bit narrower and a bit pinchier. So perhaps 20 years old, no problem at all. But 40 years old, we're probably pushing our luck as a ridden saddle now. I would recommend finding somebody, or indeed setting up your own business and making stools out of them. Have you seen, like in bars and things, you can have like a saddle that's got a stool base in it? It'd be dead easy to make and brilliant. And then people would like send you their saddles from their horse that they've lost. And I see so many people who've got saddles they don't want to get rid of, even though they haven't got a horse for them anymore. And you can make a stool out of them. Business idea. I want to take commission if you set it up. Thank you. Do you ever come out of Suffolk, Norfolk, Thetford area by any chance? I do cover Thetford as it happens. I go to Thetford. I go to Little Lodge Farm quite a lot and yards around there. So yes, I do Thetford, like IP28, I think it is that area. You're just on the edge of my border. So you can, if you want a saddle fitting, there's a bit of a wait at the moment, I'm afraid. Although less at the moment because everyone is dropping like flies with COVID. Have you had COVID? Everyone seems to have had COVID. I swear to God, in the last 2 years since COVID has been around, I've probably had 10 cancellations with people going down with COVID. And in the last week, I've had that in 1 week. So I think it must be rife. Touch wood, I've not got it. But yeah, bad. So yes, if you do want a saddle fitting, if you pop a message out to the Pee Wee Saddlery Facebook page, because the girl that does the messages there is a girl that does my diary. She's fantastic. I'm crap with diaries. She's awesome. But she's crap with saddle fitting. I'm not. So there we go. So yeah, if you want that, then pop a message out to Lindsay. Sandra, I got real lucky with the very first saddle I ever bought. It fits all my horses. Just recently had the tree repaired, and now it's good for another 40 plus years. And yes, it's a Western. Oh, I just think Western saddles are just fascinating. They're incredible. Some of them, like the detail, is just amazing. They actually make English saddles look a bit boring sometimes, I think. Oh, here's a controversial one. Elaine Tracy, do you agree with overflocking the saddle on the side where the horse has less muscle? My mare has less muscle around her right shoulder and I end up sitting to the right because of it. Or are shims better to rebalance until more muscle is built? It really depends on quite a few things. Yes, you can flock unevenly. It's not something I'm adverse to at all. I would unevenly flock a saddle, no doubt about it, if I thought it was a long-term issue. Because sometimes when you put the shims in, like say Pro-Light pads, brilliant. There's always every yard should have a Pro-Light pad on it. They're very good pads, or a Lemure Pro Sword pad, or something similar with the little pockets in. They're brilliant, but they're really good for a temporary thing. Because actually, what happens is, even if you only want to put little shims in the front right pocket, you still end up with that layer, don't you, the whole way down, that gives the whole thing a little bit of lift, and your saddle isn't as stable as it should be. So if it was a long-term situation, then yes, you can overflock, as long as you didn't flock it too hard, because then you're kind of undoing all the work. You can put some extra flock in there to lift it up. Or if it's going to be a short-term thing, then a shim in something like a Pro-Light pad is the answer. So it very much depends, and your saddle fitter will know if oh my God, it depends on so many things. It depends on the age of the horse, how quickly we think it's going to build up, how many times they've visited and it hasn't built up. Loads of things, loads and loads and loads. But no, I'm not adverse to it, and most saddle fitters wouldn't be adverse to it. But everybody does things a bit differently, don't they? So whilst I might not be adverse to it, there might be another saddle fitter that says, oh, that's a stupid idea, put a shim in. Everyone's a little bit different, even though we all train the same. We all have our own personalities, I guess. If anybody has any more questions, bang them out now. If not, I'm going to go and go through all the questions. I'm going to pop a link to a few places on here that I've talked about, completely forgotten already. Activate your seat, Centre for Horseback Combat. There was another one as well, I think. And I'm going to plan some videos for 2022. I'm also going to do a monthly live like this. We still on a Friday night. I'm going to move into a Sunday evening, I think, because in my house we have something called Family Friday, and I'm meant to be spending time with my family on a Friday, and they moan. I'm working all the time. Elaine Tracy, thank you so much. Love hard. No, Elaine, thank you. Thank you for watching. Hope everybody has a fantastic return to work. If you've not already returned to work, I went back last week, but it was dead as a dodo. I had loads of last minute cancellations, and it's not their fault at all. I had a couple of people last week forget. I think they were like, they still had like Christmas mode, because that doesn't happen very often, because people have to wait like 5 months to get an appointment, and then they forget that they had an appointment. So that did happen a couple of times last week, but also loads of people had COVID. So anyone has COVID, I hope you get well soon. Everybody else, stay safe. One more question. Aisha, seat sizes for riders. Yeah, this is a good one, because I see a lot of advice on Facebook where people say you need to measure from there to there, and then whatever measurement you get there, you times by 3 and divide by 2 and add on 7, and then you get your seat size. But it's not true, because leg length is a big contributing factor to seat size, but so is bum size, and so is stirrup length, type of saddle, whatever saddle you've got. We have some saddles that are 16.5 inch, I would find too big, and other saddles that are 17.5 inch, I would find too small. So it varies massively. So that's a good one. Seat size for riders, and how it's an absolute myth that you sit on a chair and measure a bone and then you can decide what seat size you are. Mandy, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mandy. I hope you're well, haven't got COVID, and keeping well. Anyone else put on loads of weight over Christmas? I stood on my scales in New Year, and I swear to God, my scales, which like measure fat through your feet somehow, they claim to, tell me I was obese. Which is rude, because I'm like not. Kirsty, I'll pop you a message with Vicky's data. Thank you very much. Yeah, pop me them out, and any other details for her. It's been lovely speaking to you all. Mandy doesn't have COVID and put a stone on. Snap, Mandy, snap. But I'm no longer obese according to my scales, because I didn't eat anything for 2 days. I'm going on the air and dust diet. Anyway, lovely to see you all. And I hope you've all enjoyed it, albeit very quick and very brief and a little bit rushed, because I'm thinking about pizzas and my tummy's rumbling. I'll put together a schedule of videos. I'll pop up some ideas. So keep an eye on the Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/A Day in the Life of a Saddle Fitter. Don't forget to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the videos as well, because there's no point in talking about these videos if you ain't going to watch them. And that is on YouTube.com/C/again, A Day in the Life of a Saddle Fitter, or just pop like Poppy Webber or Saddle Fitter or something into the search and I'll pop up. So if you subscribe to the videos, you can also press like a little bell symbol thing, and that means that you get notified when there's a new video up. I'm aiming to do a video a week. Reality is, in the winter, it's so difficult to do videos. I really need to go and like hire an indoor school, I think, and just batch film some. Because sometimes I think, oh, it's video day today, and I take a day off work to film a video, and then absolutely pees it down. Oh, it's windy or something. But yeah. Hit me with any other ideas that you think of over time. Kirsty has taken someone else's bum home over Christmas. I hope it was Kim Kardashian's or someone with a very perky bum. Thank you, Lucy, for watching. And Mandy has summed it up with ta-ra. Lots of love. Stay safe. Take care. And I'll see you really super duper soon. Lots of love.